सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति शांति. Okay, so we have completed verse number 10 and we need to chant verse number 11, so we will just do that. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Ye yatha mam prapadante
Tams tathaiva bhajamyaham Mama vartamanu vartante Manushyaः partha sarvashah. Okay, so you can look at the word breakups. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan tatha eva bhajami aham mama vartama anuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashah. Ye mam prapadyante. Ye, those people, mam prapadyante, who worship me. Prapadyante is to worship. Ye mam prapadyante, those people worship me. Then yatha, in whichever way they worship me. Aham tan bhajami, you have to supply tatha eva. I bless them in the same way. So in whichever way they worship me, I bless them in that way only, not in any other way. He Partha, he Arjuna, Manushyaha anuvartante. People follow mama vartama, my path, sarvashaha, in all possible ways. People worship me in all possible ways. He Partha. It's a very, very important sloka. And Shankara, of course, in his commentary says that this brings about, this sloka points out a distinction between Vishishta Advaitam and Advaitam. How is that? Vishishta Advaitins say that moksha is determined by Ishwara alone, by Bhagavan alone. And what do Vedantins say? We say that when I, the sadhaka, when I, the jiva, have decided to get jnanam, I have chosen moksha. Therefore, according to Vedantins, moksha is my choice, not Bhagavan's. Well, according to Vishishta Advaitins, there is nothing you can do until the Lord decides to give you moksha. And this sloka supports our view, the Advaitins' view, because he says, Krishna says, He Partha, He Arjuna, Manushyaha mama vartama anuvartante sarvashaha. Manushya's people follow my path in all ways. So, vartama anuvartante sarvashaha, they follow my path in all ways, has to be understood as they worship me in very many ways. And Krishna says, of course, the best way is to ensure that the spiritual goal is the primary goal, but the choice is yours. So here is that part which we are talking about. The choice Krishna is saying is really yours and not mine. I am not going to say that no, you should work for moksha. You have to choose it. If you insist that you are okay with material things and you have no interest in moksha, so that's fine by me. So be it. So Shastra and Krishna are giving full freedom to us, to the sadhakas, to the seekers. There is a suggestion, a mild suggestion here, that moksha is a worthwhile goal. You should, really speaking, you should follow moksha only. In fact, unknowingly, if you look at the definition of moksha, it is happiness, right? So unknowingly, everybody is seeking moksha alone. So we may not be clear about that. Shastra says, everything that you do, remember, finally you are seeking independence from insecurity. And if you have discovered this fact, then you are mature. But if you have not discovered this fact, then you will continue to try worldly methods, artha kama. You will seek artha, you will seek kama, you will seek dharma, you will seek swarga, you will seek wife, you will seek husband, you will seek power, you will seek money. Everything you will want to seek because you have not discovered. Ultimately, you are seeking independence alone. And the Shastric view is that this is encouraged. If you are an immature person, if your mind is not mature enough, this view is encouraged. Because in again and again fulfilling your desires, finally you will discover that there is, in every desire and every object of desire, there is a dependence. And hopefully, if you have the maturity of mind, you will understand that you are suffering because of this dependence only. And once you have discovered that there is dependence in every object that I seek, then you will turn to Shastra. So Krishna says, whenever you come, whenever you turn to Shastram, I am here waiting for you. But the choice you need to make. So if you say that I'm interested in Artha Kama, then the Veda says, Shastra says, yes, definitely you can enjoy sense pleasures. And therefore, the Karma Kanda prescribes varieties of Kamya karmas. And each of those karmas is for the fulfillment of some desire. Children, wealth, fame, position. If you want money, there is Avahanti Homam. If you want a child, there is Putra Kameshru Homam. But there is no Homam for moksha. If you want to go to heaven, there is Nachiketa Agni Homam. Right? So Krishna is saying it is not, I am not saying that I am available to you only if you want moksha. But whichever goal you choose, as Bhagwan, I will be there to assist you. The only thing is, it is better if you choose moksha because ultimately you are going to have to choose that anyway when you get sufficient maturity. And so he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Whatever you ask for. If you ask for smaller things, when moksha is available, if you ask for a kingdom, or if you ask for being a better person, or if you ask for having a child or lots of money, it is okay. It's like a kid, asking for a balloon instead of a storybook, right? If if before a small child, you put a balloon and you give him 1,000 rupees, what will he choose? He will choose the balloon because he doesn't understand the value of 1,000 rupees. And therefore Krishna says that is also okay. Whatever you choose, even if it is not moksha, it is fine. I will be there to grant it to you. There is only one condition. Let all your desires be legitimate. And let the means of accomplishing these desires also be legitimate. So in fact, we have seen over all the Shastram studies that we have done that enjoyment is a part of life. One has to learn to enjoy, one has to learn to satisfy one's desires. One has to learn that satisfaction of desires is not going to lead to exhaustion of desires, and therefore one has to grow out of it. Therefore, enjoyment is part of life. You cannot suppress, you have to grow out. But when you enjoy, You should ensure that you are aware that it is a slippery slope. Otherwise, you may fall down. Right? So go through pleasures, but don't be lost in them. And therefore it says, Tam, Tan, Tatha Eva, Bhajami Aham. In whichever way you worship me, Ye Yatha Mam Prapadyante, in whichever way you worship me, I will bless you in that way only. I will give you the object of your desires only. Right? So if a person who is hungry approaches Bhagavan, Bhagavan will not provide him with a Brahma Sutra class. Bhagavan will give him Annam only. And why do I bless these people in this manner? Because Mama Vartamanu Vartante. All my devotees, they approach me through different paths, through different means, through different efforts. And what is my job? I am Karma Phaladata. So any appropriate effort has to be met by an appropriate result. And therefore, in whichever way you worship me, I will bless you in that way. So this is a very important verse because it indicates to us how worship of Ishwara is to be done. Right? So it is basically worship of the Lord. Everyone has their own prayer. No one form of prayer is more efficient than another form of prayer. So it has to be understood as there is a nature for prayer. You acknowledge Lord as Karma Phaladata. You may not call him that, but you acknowledge him as the one who answers your prayers, which is nothing but Karma Phaladata. And then you pray to him. Okay. Remember here, we are talking about the nature of prayer. So don't confuse this with how Ishwara is defined in different religions. God is defined in very many different ways in different religions. And the misunderstanding of that is the main cause of all our social problems. So here we are talking only about the nature of prayer. So Partha Manushyaha Mama Vartamana Aruvartante Sarvashaha. In whichever path they follow. So we can think of it in another way also. Krishna is saying whatever path you follow, whether it be of Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, materialistic properties, happiness, whatever path you follow, ultimately what are you seeking? You are seeking happiness only, Ananda only, Moksha only. Because ultimate Ananda is only Moksha, Purnatvam. And what is the difference between the majority and the mumukshus? The majority do not know that whatever they are seeking, they are ultimately seeking moksha only. Those who understand that whatever you seek, you are seeking moksha only. These are the mumukshus. So there are two meanings. One is whatever you seek. Even if you are an atheist, you are seeking me alone because everything is Brahman. Even when the very materialistic industrialist who's an atheist is seeking money and power, we have to remember that there is no money, there is no power which is different from Brahman. Therefore, he is seeking Brahman alone. That is the general meaning. The second meaning is restricted to Vaidika Purusha. Only Astikas. And for them, he will give whatever they ask for. So we should note that in the Veda, approaching the Lord with a prayer is always a karma, right? It is not just a verbal request. It is accompanied by a ritual. So, Avahanti Homa, Putrakameshtu Homa, some other Homa, Nachiketa Homa. For each prayer, there is a relevant yajna or a relevant upasana, and the combination alone is called the prayer. So, if my desire is moksha, I must do Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhyasana. Okay. What is the difference between Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha Purusharthas? There are four Purusharthas. Dharma Purushartha, Artha Kama Purushartha, and Moksha Purushartha. We must remember that in the first three, dharma, artha, kama, purushartha, what I am seeking to do is to improve the status of my ahankara. And very importantly, in moksha, what am I seeking to do? I am seeking to falsify the ahankara. It's an extremely important point. Dharma, artha, kama, purushartham seeks to improve the status of ahankara, to make it more refined. In moksha, you are not improving ahankara. You are seeking to dismiss it as mithya. And that is why you cannot have those four together. You either do artha, kama, dharma, or you follow moksha. The first three cannot be chosen along with moksha. Okay. So there is another way of understanding the verse also. Nitya Naimittika Karma. What does it do? It gives two types of punyam. Remember, Nitya Naimittika Karma is a Vedic karma, right? Prescribed by Vedas. And therefore they give punyam only. But what type of punyam do they give? Because punyam is of two types. One punyam you can encash for material desires, benefits. The other punyam you can encash for chitta shuddhi. So you can broadly divide punyam into two types. Material punyam and spiritual punyam. It is the same Nitya Naimittika Karma which gives you both the types. Depends upon what? It depends upon the sankalpa, upon the resolution you make when you do the karma. Saying that, oh Lord, I am doing this karma for the sake of a child. I am doing this karma for the sake of a better job. So that sankalpa decides that you will get materialistic punyam. That punyam you cannot encash for chitta shuddhi. But if it is nishkama karma, you are saying I am not doing this for any materialistic benefits. I am simply doing it because it is my nitya karma. Or even if you say, I am doing it because I want chitta shuddhi, you don't have to say it. The moment your sankalpa is not for materialistic benefits, automatically the only one left is spiritual punyam. Remember that this karma has to generate punyam. So if you negate materialistic punyam by not making the sankalpa, the only punyam which remains is spiritual punyam, which gives you chitta shuddhi. So whether you give a sankalpa that I want chitta shuddhi or not, as long as your sankalpa is not for materialistic gains, that karma, that nitya naimittika karma is going to give you chitta shuddhi punyam, spiritual punyam. Right? Material punyam gives you material benefits. Spiritual punyam gives you chitta shuddhi, acharya prapti, etc. And therefore Krishna says that you should choose your sankalpa wisely. Okay. Now a question can come here. Since Ishwara has made it clear in this, Krishna has made it clear in this verse, ye yatha mam prapadyante, that he will give us what we ask for. And Shastram very clearly says that there are two things you can ask for, Shreyas and Preyas. The question is, why is it that in spite of such clarity being there in Shastram, why is it that most people choose Preyas? That answer is given in the next verse. So I hope you are all familiar with what is meant by Preyas and Shreyas. Anybody who doesn't know? I'm presuming that all of you are familiar with the words Preyaha and Shreyaha. Okay, Shreyaha means looking for moksha. Preyaha means looking for pleasant things in life. So what is the answer to that question? It comes in the next verse. So we will read verse number 12. Please unmute yourself. Kangshatta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha क्षिप्रम हिमानुषे लोके
क्षिप्रमानुषे लोके
सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा
सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा।
Okay, so you have to break that up. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajante. So the yajanta is because of sandhi. Yajante iha devataha shipram himanushe loke siddhihi bhavati karmajaha. Siddhihi bhavati karmaja. So kankshanta siddhim karmanam. Kankshanta means desiring. Karmanam is actions. Siddhim is success or result. So kankshanta karmanam siddhim, desiring the successful result from their action. What do people do? Yajante iha devataha. Iha means here in this world. These people, you have to supply the subject. These people, devataha yajante. They worship the gods. The first thing is, because why do people worship God? Because they want success from their actions. And why is that so? Manushe loke siddhihi karmaja bhavati shipram hi. In this human world, manushe loke, karmaja siddhihi, results born from action, bhavati hi shipram. Shipram is quickly. Bhavati hi shipram, happens quickly. So the results born of action comes quickly in this world of human beings, and that is why people worship gods, because they seek the results of the actions and they know that they will get the results quickly. Okay, now there are two paths which are prescribed in the Shastra. So one is Karma Marga and one is Jnana Marga. Karma Marga is what? A life of activity where you spend your life actively engaged in karma. And Jnana Marga is where your life has some karma in it, but it is predominantly Shastra study oriented. Shravanam, Mananam, etc. And so Krishna is saying that Karma Marga will produce one result. Karma will produce one result, and Jnanam will produce a completely different result. What is the difference in the results? We have seen the defects of karma. What are they? The first one is karma phalam. Results of karma are subject to three defects. One is dukkha mishri tattva. That is success mixed with pain. Mishri is mixture. Dukkha mishri tattvam. Success mixed with pain. Any accomplishment has three levels of pain. One is the pain required for making the effort to accomplish whatever you are accomplishing. One is having acquired or once having accomplished. The second pain is the effort required in preserving whatever you have got. And the third pain is everything that you acquire through karma has to come to an end sooner or later. And therefore, whatever you acquired and whatever you preserved, you will finally lose it. So that third pain is the loss. So dukkha mishri tattvam means there is a pain involved at three stages. For acquiring the object, for preserving the object, and finally losing the object. Whatever satisfaction you get out of acquiring and keeping it is always accompanied by these three pains, by these three problems. That is called dukkha mishri tattvam. Second one is atripti karatvam. There is never any full satisfaction out of acquiring any object, because desires can never be completely fulfilled. When you acquire one object, either you want more of that object or you want a better and more refined object. So kama is never completely fulfilled. Therefore, atripti karatvam. Atripti means non-satisfaction. The third one is bandhakatvam. Whenever you acquire an object, you are building a dependence on that object for your happiness. And to expand that, you are building a dependence on external factors for your happiness. External factors are never completely in your control. And therefore, all these three are a defect of karma phalam. Which three? Mandakatvam, atripti karatvam, and dukkha mishritatvam. We have talked about this before, but since they are so important, I am briefly outlining it again over here. What is the conclusion? Karma kanda, any karma, can give you only finite results. And if you are interested in a non-finite, that is an infinite result, Jnana Kanda says you cannot find that in karma. Because whatever is the end product of a process, remember, karma is always a process. It has got a beginning, it has got an end. So whatever is the product of a finite process, that result will always be finite. So any process takes place in time. It has got a beginning, it has got a maintenance period, it has got an end also. And therefore, a process is bound by time. And therefore, results are also within time also. Because the process has a beginning and an end, the same logic, the result also has to have a beginning and an end. Therefore, Jnana-kanda says that if you are interested in infinite results, you will never find it in Karma-kanda. If there is something called infinity or Purnatvam, as we call Sanskrit, it cannot be something that is available in future. It cannot be something that will come in future to you. It has necessarily to be present today also. And what is present today need not be acquired. So that is the main crux here. Whatever is infinite is present today also. If it is present today, then I don't need to acquire it. I only need to understand that yes, it is present today. It is only a matter of discovery, not of reaching. There is no travel involved, there is no karma involved. And therefore, this Jnana Marga leads to Nitya Phalam, infinite result, while Karma Marga leads to Anitya Phalam, finite result. And still, many people, they choose Karma Marga, Karma Phalam they choose, Anitya Phalam, finite results they choose. Why? Because to perform karma, Shastra does not prescribe Chitta Shuddhi. Shastra does not say that you have to have purity of mind, sadhana chatushtayam, all that. Shastra does not prescribe for performing karma, because karma is supposed to give you that. And therefore, you can happily continue to have your raga dvesha and do karma. To come to Vedanta, to come to Shastram, you need to give up the raga dvesha, for which you need to perform karma. After having gone through karma and upasana only, after having diluted your raga dvesha only, can you come to Shastra. And therefore Krishna says, Karmanam siddhim kangshantaha. Many people are interested in karma phalam only. Karma phalam is finite results. And that is what we call preyaha. The word preyaha comes in Kathopanishad, the pleasant. The majority of people choose the pleasant. Remember that both Nityam and Anityam are confronting us all the time. They are available in front of us all the time. The intelligent one chooses Nityam. The Mandaha, the confused, non-intelligent one, chooses the Anityam, the finite. So, karmanam siddhim kamshante has to be taken as mandaha karmanam siddhim kamshante. The confused ones, the not intelligent ones, they seek these finite results. And one more aspect of choosing karma phalam is that Vedic rituals have to be done in accordance with the rules laid down in the Vedas. There are a huge number of rules for karma. You have to go to the temple, you have to go to the, on Paurnami day, you have to go to the temple, you have to offer this grain, at that place you have to offer this place, one place you have to offer salt, another place you have to offer mustard seed, you have to wear some cloth. So many conditions are there, right? Those conditions have to be fulfilled. And if you fulfill all these conditions, you are not assured of the result. You may get the result. But what do the people do? In spite of knowing all this, in spite of knowing all the uncertainties involved with karma, devataha yajante. These people worship. They go after varieties of devatas. Why? Because karmaja siddhi chipram bhavati. Because karma phalam is received much faster than jnana phalam. And people simply do not have the patience to wait. In fact, there's an Upanishad called Kena Upanishad that says, whichever devata you meditate upon, finally remember that devata is mithya only. It's a big secret. Only we Vedantins know it. There is no God other than you. In fact, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it has a very uncharitable reference to people who are worshippers of devatas. He says they are devanam pashuhu. Pashu is what? A load-bearing animal. So people who are worshipping devatas, the Brihadaranyaka says they are like load-bearing animals for the devatas. Why load-bearing? Because they are always carrying offerings. They are giving offerings in this homa, they are giving offerings in that homa, in that ritual. They are perpetually carrying offerings to the various devatas. They are perpetually bearing a load for the devatas. And so very nice reference saying that people who worship devatas, they are like devana pasha, load-bearing animals for the devatas. Acharya says, one should note that karma phalam does not have any stability at all. Because karma phalam is covered by, you have variety, you have novelty, you have beauty, you have visibility, right? All these are exactly what is used in the advertisement industry, right? That is how they capture your attention. Because you find big billboards which change every day, which give new ideas to look at, to titillate your sense organs. That is the tricks of the trade of the advertisement industry. And therefore, this karma phalam will never have any stability. It's a temporary nature. On the other hand, preparation for knowledge is very tough. You have karma yoga, which might take several years. You have upasana yoga, which might take several years. After several years of these, or maybe several lifetimes of these, you will get sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. And therefore, there is a long process involved before you can even come to jnanam. On the other hand, karma sadhana gives quick results. And therefore, most people, they prefer karma. And by the word manushe loke, Krishna is saying, manushe loke, Shankaracharya says, manushe loke, Krishna is indicating that karma can only be done in manushya loka, in this world only. Shankara stops with that, but sub-commentators, they add over here that to be able to do karma properly, being a manushya, a human being, is not enough. One should have been born in a culture which has got Varna, Ashrama, Dharma, and only if you are there, then you can do Vaidika karma. So here, karma is being described as karma prescribed in the Vedas. So obviously, if you are not born in a culture where Veda is predominant, you will not be able to do the karma. Because how will any other culture know what is Panchamahayajna? And you can find that your children who are born in this culture also do not have the necessary faith. And when we find that, we have to just take it as some, obstacle somewhere and hope that prayers will get rid of that obstacle. In a text called Viveka Chudamani, in the very second verse, Shankaracharya says that it requires a huge amount of punyam to be born as a manushya. And even more to be born as a astika, a believer in the Vedas. Now we go to the 13th verse. We will chant. So please unmute yourself. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam.
Chaturvarnyam maya
srishtam
Gunakarma vibhagashaha.
Gunakarma vibhagashaha.
Tasya kartaram api mam.
tasya
Kartaram
Vidya kartaram avyayam. So, a very controversial topic in today's world. Let's look at the word. He says, Chaturvarnyam srishtam maya. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. This fourfold classification of people, Chaturvarnyam, maya srishtam, was initiated, maya, by me alone. Srishtam means created or initiated. So this Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam, I only have brought about the fourfold Varnas. Okay. What are the Varnas? What are the four Varnas?
Brahmana, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya. Vaishya, Shudra.
Okay. The four Varnas. He says, I have brought it about. And he gives a clarification. Guna karma vibhagashaha. Vibhagaha means division. So these four groups or classes are based on guna and karma. Are based on guna, which is the qualities, attributes of the person, and karma, which is based on the duties of the person, actions of the person. Okay. Remember that here, he is not talking about jati at all, about the birth at all. So that birth thing is a later addition. In the original, this is the original sloka, this is the Smriti Pramanam. Krishna himself is saying that I created those divisions based only on attributes and karma, not based on birth. That is one thing which we should always remember when somebody tells you that Hinduism has birth-based Varnas, caste system as they call it. We don't. The original caste system was based on guna karma only. Krishna's mouth itself. Then he says, Tasya kartaram api mam. Even though mam tasya kartaram, even though I am the author of that caste system, of that Varna system. We'll use the word Varna system. Api tasya kartaram mam vidhi. Know that even though I am the author of that, I am the creator of that Varna system, know that I am akartaram avyayam. Know that I am not a karta. Know that I am changeless, avyayam. So simply in English, the fourfold division of society, which is called the Varna system and very loosely called today as caste system, has been created by me based upon guna and karma only. Know that I am the creator of the system, but also know that I am not a creator at all and I am changeless. So here, Bhagavan is saying that there are two clear goals in life. One is prayas, one is shreyas. Prayas is material goals, shreyas is spiritual goals, and they are diagonally opposite. But what did I do? I designed a lifestyle. by following that lifestyle, a human being can accomplish both these goals, material goals as well as spiritual goals. And what are the requirements of such a lifestyle? Number one, we all know, right, that a person has to be able to fulfill material desires. There is never any point in advising somebody not to fulfill material desires. Right? So there's a joke about a person who was a drinker, and he used to drink a lot. So one day his doctor gave him a nice book on the dangers of drinking. Right? And the next time the doctor said, "Have you given up drinking?" So he said, "No, doctor, I have not given up drinking, but I have given up reading the books." Okay. So he would prefer to give up everything else, but not the drinking. Similarly, a person who is full of materialistic desires, if Veda says do not desire, then that is the most useless advice, because he will drop the Veda rather than drop the desires. And knowing this, the Karma Kanda encourages a lifestyle to fulfill your desires. But it says fulfill those desires within certain parameters, within certain dharmic parameters, dharmic discipline. And the beauty of this whole arrangement is that if you follow the Vedic discipline, you will not only fulfill your materialistic desires, but you will be encouraged to fulfill again and again and again. And gradually, you will grow out of these desires. You will understand that those desires are not going to get you anywhere. Therefore, without suppressing those desires, you will grow out of those those materialistic desires, and you will discover that the most natural desire is the spiritual desire. Right? So this discovery of the spiritual desire is not by denial of materialistic desires, but by growing out of it. And therefore, in this verse onwards, Krishna is entering the main topic of this chapter. What is the name of the chapter? Jnana Karma Sannyasa. What does Jnana Karma Sannyasa mean? It means sannyasa of karma, renunciation of karma through jnana. It doesn't mean Jnana Karma Sannyasa. Some people say it means renunciation of jnanam and karma both. It doesn't mean. Jnanena Karma Sannyasa. Through jnanam to drop karma. That is the main focus of this chapter. And to understand this, we have to recall the first chapter. Arjuna was afraid of the battlefield, of doing karma on the battlefield. He is not interested in doing his duty because it is a very unpleasant duty of killing his relatives and granduncles and all that. And therefore, Arjuna wanted to escape from karma by taking to sannyasa. And what is Krishna's main job? It is removing from Arjuna the fear of that karma, because as long as we have a body, and Krishna says this several times, as long as you have a body, as long as a human being is alive with a body, he cannot escape from karma at all. Some karma or other, he will have to keep on doing. So, nahi kaschid chanamapi yatu tishtati akarma krita. Even for a minute, even for a single moment, a person cannot remain without action. You may be able to change the type of action that you do. So if you live in an ashram, you have certain karma to do. If you live in a household, in a grahastha, you have certain karma to do. But you cannot escape from karma at all. As long as you have a body, the cessation of karma, the stopping of karma is possible only when the physical body is gone. And this particular idea is driven home when you look at the universe itself. Look at the whole creation. The smallest atom is perpetually active. Electrons are constantly moving around the nucleus. The biggest solar system is active. The planets are moving around the central sun. The whole universe is constantly expanding. There is karma at the micro level. There is karma at the macro level. Krishna says, hey Arjuna, karmas you cannot avoid. And when you cannot avoid something, what do? We learn to live with it. And therefore, Arjuna, better to live with the karma. Better to learn how to handle the karma. But there is a problem. Karma comes with expectations. Expectations bring about mental disturbances, both during the karma and after the karma. And since I cannot avoid karma, what should I do? I must learn to handle these mental disturbances. I must learn to handle these expectations. And one method Krishna has already talked about in the 3rd chapter, the Karma Yoga method to handle expectations, and mental disturbances. We spoke about in great detail in the 3rd chapter. And now Krishna says that was only the emergency ward. That was only the ICU. Because Karma Yoga method will give you temporary resolution of mind, but the real solution is in Jnanam only. And therefore, Jnanam is the only solution, only final solution. Because of Jnanam, you can be active in this world. You can be doing a lot of activity in this world, all sort of activity you can be doing, but you can be unaffected by both the karma and the karma phalam. You will not be disturbed by either karma or karma phalam. Okay. So, this, in Kerala, for example, when you cut a jackfruit, there is a white sticky substance. Like if you cut the jackfruit, if you're a newcomer and you cut the jackfruit, you will find that the moment you put your hand inside, you get stuck. The hands get stuck with the sticky thing. And what is it? You want to pull it out, the hand, right? But there also it gets stuck because that sticky substance is very, very sticky. And if you don't know how to handle it, you will cut it and it will break it, and that sticky thing will be all over the place and there will be a big mess. How does a seasoned Keralite handle it? He applies coconut oil on his hand and on the knife. And then you cut the jackfruit and put your hand inside. Nothing happens. That sticky thing is still there, but it doesn't create problems. And therefore, karma has the property of the sticky substance. It can stick to you and cause a lot of problems. What do? You put the oil, the coconut oil of knowledge, of Jnanam. And once having the coconut oil of Jnanam, you can do any karma. It will not affect you. And therefore, the main topic of this chapter is how to acquire Jnanam and then do karma in the world without being affected by the karma or the karma phalam. So, tasya kartaram apimam. I remain a karta. I remain involved in the action. And in the Mahabharata, that is why it is on a battlefield. He is sitting right in front of Arjuna. Arjuna is safe because Krishna is the shield. All arrows have to pass through Krishna. And Krishna had a very tough job, right? He had to wash the chariot in the morning. He had to tend to the horses. At the evening, when it came back, he had to wash the chariot, tend to the horses. All this work was there. And Krishna was Ishwara, right? So he says, I am associated with all these karmas. But guess what? Tat api akartaram mam vidhi. I am inwardly unaffected by anything that I do. So in the jackfruit, I am in the jackfruit. My hand is in the jackfruit, but not affected by the sticky substance. And therefore, I do karma, but I am not affected by the karma phalam. I am not affected by the karma also. He says, I am not affected by both. Karma does not affect me. Karma phalam also does not affect me. So what is it that I am? Avyayam. I am undisturbed. And one should know, what is the duty of Ishwara? Of course, Krishna as an avatara was involved in many duties, many karmas. But Bhagavan, not as avatara, but as original Ishwara, he has duties, right? He is Srishtikarta, creator of the world. He is Sthitikarta, sustainer of the world. Not only that, he is Layakarta. He has to destroy the world when the time is right. And therefore, he is saying that Srishti, Sthiti, and Layakarta, these are my duties. As part of their duty, I created this Varna Ashrama system. So Veda accepts that all of us have a selfish interest in ourselves. What is that? We all want to personally grow and we all want to achieve our goals of life, which may be very materialistic. And Karmakanda says, fine, it is a legitimate goal and presents a method by which we can take care of ourselves. We can take care of these legitimate goals. And parallelly, Krishna says, you have to take care of yourself, fine. But you have to take care of society's interest also. And such a style is called the Varna Ashrama Vyavastha. The Varna portion is for self-interest. The Ashrama portion is for the interest of society. Vyavastha means system, lifestyle. And therefore, Varna Ashrama Vyavastha is a system designed as Varna and Ashrama. Varna meaning the fourfold division of society. Ashrama is the fourfold society division also, but to take care of society as a whole. So there are 4 stages of life, which are meant to be for individual growth. And along with the individual growth, I have to contribute to society also, but not at my cost. Therefore, Ashrama Vyavastha is what? The 4 ashramas, Brahmacharya, the Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. This Ashrama Vyavastha is to take care of individual growth. While the Varna Vyavastha, which he is talking about in this verse, it is meant to take care of social needs. So Krishna, remember, doesn't talk about Ashrama Vyavastha over here. He is referring to Varna Vyavastha. So briefly, what is this Ashrama Vyavastha? You have the 4 ashramas. And the very word ashrama shows that in every stage, you are supposed to grow spiritually also, maybe financially also, but spiritually also. So ashrama is a place for inner growth, not outer growth. And therefore, whole life of an individual is divided into these 4 ashramas. The first ashrama is Brahmacharya Ashrama, where you are taught that human life consists of 2 goals, the material ones, where you have to earn money and food and clothing and shelter and entertainment. You have to become prosperous. But only that is not enough. Parallelly, one should grow spiritually also. If one has to spend enough time for one's inner growth, for which alone this Dharma Shastra is important. And this foundation is laid in Brahmacharya Ashrama. The second one is Grihastha Ashrama, where the implementation begins. So you have Karma Yoga, you got Upasana Yoga, you got plenty of extroverted activities. I want this, I want that, I want to accomplish this. Veda says, fine, accomplish away. There is no problem. So it is not true that Hinduism focuses on renunciation. No, Hinduism, the Karma Kanda also talks a lot about materialistic accomplishments. So this Grihastha, he fulfills all his desires, of course, in a religious manner, in a legitimate manner. And if a person does all this, he finds that over a period of time, his desires become refined. They become purified. Initially, he was interested only in his own progress, in his own well-being. But now he has begun to realize that the well-being of others is also important. And therefore the prayer is there. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha. So this person who is predominantly oriented towards himself initially will gradually change to a person who is nishkama karma oriented. His work will be such that he will serve society. And nobody will then complain about him, because while serving himself, he has also served society. And you saw in the 3rd chapter, the 5 Mahayagnyas were there, Pancha Mahayagnyas were there. Deva Yagnya, in which he contributes to Dharma. Pitru Yagnya, he contributes to his forefathers. Brahma Yagnya, he contributes towards the propagation of scriptures. Manushya Yagnya, he contributes to society, social service. And Bhuta Yagnya, where he takes care of the environment. And then there is a 3rd stage called Vanaprastha Ashrama, where he turns inwards. And this, the mind turning from external world inwards, is called Upasana Pradhanam. Is called the Upasana Pradhanam Ashrama, which is Vanaprastha. Grihastha Ashrama is what? Karma Pradhanam. Predominantly karma oriented, but Vanaprastha is predominantly Upasana oriented. In the old days, as the name implied, Vanaprastha means a prasthanam towards the vanam, going towards the forest. But in today's world, you can, you don't find forests anyway. So predominantly you can take it as turning inwards, pulling yourself away from material grihastha duties and more focusing on meditation. And the final ashrama is the sannyasa ashrama, where he may get out of the house and take formally to the 4th ashrama, sannyasa ashrama, by wearing the saffron robes. Or in a compromised version, he may choose to remain within the family, but learns to detach mentally. And this understanding is that life is a journey in which all associations have to finally be renounced. I have entered life, but I have to come out also. Relationships I have entered into, but I have to grow out also. I have responsibilities of every member of the family, but I have to hand it over to Ishwara now, and Ishwara will take care of those people. This inward detachment is called sannyasa ashrama. The more detachment you have, the more the mind is available for Jnānayoga. And if a person goes through all these 4 stages, he has catered to his own growth, he has catered to society also. Like the example of a tree is often given. A tree produces fruit. The fruit is eaten by us. We throw away the seeds. The thrown away seeds takes care of the interest of the tree also by propagation. Therefore, physically or whether you go through these 4 ashramas or not, at least mentally one has to go through these 4 ashramas. The 4 ashramas are meant for the growth of the individual. The Varna Vyavastha, the Varna system is meant for social health and harmony. So that the Varna part we will see in the next class. With this, I'll stop for today. Any questions?
Om sir, I have a question. I hope I'll be able to articulate it properly. So, sir, we studied that even for a moment, a person cannot give up karma, whether he is a karma yogi or even a sannyasi for that matter, right? And you also said that karma yoga is only a temporary solution and only jnanam is a permanent solution. So my question is, when it comes to just doing karma, what is the difference between a karma yogi and a jnani? Because even a karma yogi knows that, he dedicates all his actions to Ishwara. And even a karma yogi knows that, he has Ishwara Arpana Bhava. So, and both of them have that same sentiment, right? So when it comes to purely doing karma,
both of them don't have the same sentiment.
Okay.
Anybody wants to explain what is the difference between a jnani and a karma yogi?
One is in the triangular format and the second one is in the
you need to
binary
explain
format.
in more what you call down to earth terms.
Ravi,
I'll reword the question. What is the difference in the karma done by a jnani and by a sadhaka, by a karma yogi?
Kartrutvam is
Jnani
not
has
there.
left the kartrutva.
as if for karma.
Karma yogi is
Karma phalam.
working towards
Karma abhasa.
sadhana chatushtaya, and Jnani has already Yes,
The
completely.
Jnani has come to the conclusion that it's for transactional purposes. He has transcended the karta, the bhokta. He's just the karta.
Okay, Ambarish.
Yeah, the absence of kartrutvam. And what is happening is karma abhas.
Karma abhasa.
Exactly.
As if
That is the
karma.
difference. When a Jnani does karma, there is absence of kartrutvam, doership. He does not think I am doing karma. And therefore, we don't call it as karma. We call it karma abhasa. When a karma yogi does karma, he has kartrutvam because he is not a Jnani. And therefore, he is offering his actions towards Ishwara. The Jnani doesn't need to offer any actions to Ishwara. Why? Because he is Ishwara.
Right, right. That makes complete sense, sir. I got it. I was assuming that even a karma yogi knows that he is merely a medium or a vessel, and
Karma
the
yogi has
actual.
got very much kartrutvam.
Right, right.
Otherwise, he would be a Jnani.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
So these kind of questions really, are very necessary for this class.
Acharya.
Yes, Indira.
As we know, the dharma is something, which we all are supposed to follow in order to do the karma. So I don't know if I'll be able to put it across well or not. So you mean to say we all should have all our actions which are meant to be for the jnanam, right? So because artha and kama are like, as we are all grihastha, some of the financial security for our children, which we all desire for. So how do we justify
I think Rinki
that?
already mentioned that as a grahastha, it has to be question of karma yoga only. You can be three things. Either you are a non-seeker, in which case you are not in the discussion at all. Or you can be a seeker, or that is a sadhaka or a jnani, a karma yogi or a jnani. There are only two ways. A karma yogi has got kartrutvam. Everything he does, he offers to the Lord. And that is the entire import of chapter 2 and chapter 3. We talked about two attitudes. Karma yogi has to have those two attitudes. As a jnana yogi, you are beyond the pale of the Bhagavad Gita itself. What the discussions in Jnana Yogi is not for, about Jnanam in Bhagavad Gita is not for the Jnana Yogi. It is for the Karma Yogi to understand what is a Jnana Yogi.
Okay. So you mean to say whatever the security we are looking for our children or ourselves, so if I'm looking for that, so it would be mostly Ishwara Arpana. Right?
Yes.
So
if you are looking for anything which is materialistic, if you have thinking of relationships, if you have your mother, father, children in mind, you are a karma yogi here. You are a grahastha, you are a karma yogi.
Okay, Acharya. Thank you.
Okay, so it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, saying that you will be a karma yogi as long as your relationships, but that's what the Gita says. As long as any relationship is there and you are owning up the relationship, you are not a jnani at all. See, it doesn't mean that as a jnani, you won't take care of your son and daughter. You will, because that's a duty to be done by the body, mind, sense complex. But you won't be saying my son and my daughter.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, Jyoti.
Yeah, so while we are in the Grihastha, how we can put ourselves on the path of the Gyan Marga, basically? Because we have still our duties.
You already are you not? When you're studying Vedanta, what is that? It is Jnana Marga only.
Okay, sir. But at times these things confuse because you have duties and like you were explaining that if we are doing some karmas and then there are karma kandas, like I personally, if I would feel I'm doing my profession, my husband is doing something, kids are doing something else, but I'm totally dedicated because I was looking for a guru past 30 years. And
but
somehow
you're still
I came
saying
across
I
him.
and my.
Yes, sir. So that's what I want to remove. How to
That
do
is
that
not going to be
actually?
removed. It's not like an eraser, you can't take it and remove it. It will
Yeah.
go when it goes. So the only
So it will
thing
take
that is
some
available
time.
to you, only thing you can really
Mhm.
do is to keep on
Yes, sir.
studying Vedanta. And one fine day you will find that, oh, these things don't really matter. That doesn't mean that you will tell your child that you're no longer my child.
Mhm.
Transactionally, vyavaharically, you will behave like a mother. Mentally,
Yeah.
you will know that you don't have any children because you are Brahman. That is a thing which comes to very few people and with a lot of work.
No, sir. There is a thing. I have been studying Gita. I don't know how many years, but this is the first time I'm studying under someone. So I think that makes a total different things. And I used to feel, and I still feel that I am just a person who is supposed to do some of the things. And for me, for my growth, I need to do something else. Probably that's why I was looking for something I wanted to do, and I am doing. I'm good. I'm really happy for that. But how to be more
So don't force
orient?
yourself. The biggest mistake which you can do is to try to step into the Jnanam shoe when your legs are firmly on the ground.
Mhm. Right.
It has to grow. It's something which grows. That is why we say the definition of Jnanam is Shravanam for a long period,
Mhm.
a proper systematic study of the scriptures under a competent Acharya for a sufficiently long period.
Yes.
When that sufficiently long period is over, your mind itself is tuned separately. There is a particular framework which is required. Many of the people in this group have already got that framework because they have been here for ages.
Yes.
But when that framework comes, the first thing that will happen is you will see that your disturbances of mind reduce. That is the first sign to tell you that yes, you are on the path. You will
Mhm.
find that things which used to irritate you don't anymore irritate you. All
No,
these,
sir. I meant to ask that how to be on the Gyan Marga
you are
and
on the Jnana Marg.
still help the people who are around you.
What stops you
Who?
from? See, there is nothing in Jnana which says you can't help anybody else. In fact, the Jnani's only job
Mhm.
is what we call Loka Sangraham. He helps, he does karma. Do you mean to
Yes.
say a Jnani does not do karma? Of course he does karma. But it is, even though we say it's karma abhasa, he
Mhm.
doesn't have kartrutvam because he doesn't look upon a karma as being done for himself. That
Mhm.
karma is always for helping people. Loka Sangraham is a very important concept in Bhagavad Gita. Helping others. There is no conflict at all. In fact, the Jnani's job after Jnanam is to help the others. Every action of the Jnani is for helping others.
Thank you. Thank you, Acharya. Thanks. That
Okay.
was the biggest confusion
That
today.
confusion you
Thank
should
you.
not have at all because it is very, very deeply embedded in the Gita that every action you do for helping others
Mhm.
is fine. If you're not a Jnani, it will give you Chitta Shuddhi. If you're a Jnani, it is because your body-mind complex has a particular prarabdha.
Mm. So I think initially these things will irritate you a bit, but the more you'll just keep walking on the path, things will dissolve or dissipate on their own because you just
Yes,
keep doing
you will
something.
grow out of these things. That is why, what we say is that just the Bhagavad Gita is not sufficient. You
Mhm.
have to you have to study Tattva Bodha also under a teacher. You
Yes.
have to look at all the various Prakarana Granthas which you are doing because all this, this 4 days, 4 hours a week is what
Mhm.
we recommend. 4 hours a
Yes.
week or at least 3 hours a week of classes you must have.
No, I'm trying to do more than that because I have
No, that's one more thing I want to say.
some of the things I've left. So
Don't ever go and listen to somebody else, some other teacher who might be giving you completely different philosophy.
no, I'm not doing
There
that.
is a
So
particular way of unfolding which you are getting now because there is,
yes.
so that way of unfolding has to remain like that.
Yeah.
You have to learn in a systematic manner, one verse after the other verse, which each subject being connected. That is how we teach.
Yeah. Thank you.
One of the problems is that if we are slightly impatient, we try to get more knowledge from somebody else. We don't know that whether that person is teaching along the same tradition. And then it will create a lot of problems. If that
No,
happens.
I'm listening only your YouTube Gita earlier classes so that I can catch up and I feel more connected.
Yeah.
And just keep repeating and preparing like you have. You were telling that you must make your own notes so that the understanding should be
apart from
clear.
Gita classes, we have got many Prakarana Granthas on the YouTube. We got Atma Bodha on the YouTube. We got Upadesha Saram on the YouTube. All those will give you a total picture of what is Vedanta.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so with this we'll stop. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you.
Thank you.